You're listening to the Crack It Cold podcast, where we interview inspiring individuals and ask them what they do and why they do it. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at Crack It Cold, where you can find other creative media projects.
Today, on can number 8, you'll hear from graphic design and logo specialist Seth Horty. Today I am joined by Seth Horty. Seth is a good friend of mine. We've become close friends after being interns at Indiana Sports Corp together. He's got a background in graphic design, if you will.
Yep.
So today I'm going to have Seth go through some logos that, I think might be kind of cool. Get some meaning behind those logos. Figure out hidden messages.
Yep, we're going to kind of break them down in my eyes, and if I know some secret hidden meaning about it, I'm going to bring it to light and kind of drop some knowledge on it.
And I also want to hear what Seth's favorite logos are, what his least favorite logos are, and maybe some logos that you think are cool, maybe that are just really bad logos. So we're going to cover all this and more, so follow along on the screen as we post the logos. But without further ado, I'm ready for Seth to start critiquing these logos. So we're going to go number 1 here, Nike.
Ooh, it's classic.
Critique this logo.
The swoosh logo is probably one of the most iconic out there, especially for the sports logos. I like it a lot. I don't wear a lot of Nike products. I'm more of an Adidas person, so I have a little bit of bias. But the swoosh is really, really easily recognizable, and Nike's name behind it, the goddess of victory Nike, plays really well.
It's pretty straightforward. I mean, everybody knows Nike.
Yeah.
It's right there.
Even without their Just Do It slogan that they've been putting along with it a lot now, it's pretty iconic, and you can pretty much pick this one.
How do you feel about when they put the word Nike above the logo?
I mean, I like it a little bit. I don't think it needs it. I think it's a little cleaner, especially on their sports apparel. That was definitely one of their old school ones where they did Nike on top of it and the Nike Air stuff. I like it though.
Gotcha. All right, next up. This one has an interesting take to it. Dunkin'.
The Dunkin' Donuts logo.
Now, let me show you. There's 2 of them here.
Okay.
There's Dunkin' Donuts, and then there's Dunkin'.
Okay.
Now, I need, your opinion on what's better. It seems to me like they're going away from the Dunkin' Donuts, and they're just...
Yeah, I can kind of see this. It's kind of similar to what Domino's has done in the past couple of years, because they've moved away from just being a pizza place. So I think that they're trying to convey the message that, they're not only doing donuts now, and it's just kind of logos are starting to be kind of more refined, a little more simple now. So I think it's just more of the companies kind of reverting to being known as not just a donut place.
That's kind of
I personally don't eat Dunkin' Donuts, so I don't have really a good connection with it.
You don't funkin' go nuts at Dunkin' Donuts?
I don't. I'm sorry. No, back where I'm from, we've got a place called Donut Bank, and it's pretty regional, and I've got a very good ties to that, and so I kind of stay away from Dunkin' Donuts.
Stay away from the basic white girl stuff.
Yeah.
I'm
not a huge coffee person, so I don't really go here. So, but
right.
I mean, it's a pretty decent logo. I've seen it a lot. It's pretty recognizable.
Right.
I'm not the biggest fan of the colors, though. I would change it up a little bit.
The pink and orange?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is kind of weird, now that I think about it. Okay, next up.
To the next. Amazon. Okay. I'm sure everybody has seen this logo. Usually what they do is they use that arrow mark on a lot of their boxes and stuff and kind of portray a smile. So
yeah,
happy company. But then if you look at it closer on this logo, they're basically telling you that they provide products from A to Z, and that arrow kind of denotes that, and it's just kind of a cool little hidden meaning.
Yeah. How much experience have you ever worked at Amazon by any chance?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so I worked there, and that was not fun.
Yeah,
Seth.
Are you working on the warehouse floor?
Yeah, I was working in the hazmat room as a stower. Essentially what that means is I get the items and I stow them on shelves.
Okay. So when you said in the hazmat stuff, were you doing hazardous chemicals?
Yes.
Okay.
So we're like nail polishes,
All right.
colognes, perfumes, all that stuff. Anything that's like, hair dye.
Okay.
So we had to put that stuff in a certain, area
Mm-hmm.
in case, So I was in a dangerous
Yeah,
place.
it sounds like it. Maybe some foul smells going
But,
around.
yeah.
Maybe some good ones if you were doing some cologne. But
And when I worked there, it was during COVID, so we're always wearing a mask.
yeah, so I'm sure it was hot and stuffy in there.
But, dude, I'll tell you what, they work you like a slave there. It is not very personable.
Okay. I mean, I can see
Amazon.
that. Big corporation.
Yeah. So that smile, it's kind of deceiving.
Yeah, I can
Make
see that.
good money
yeah.
at Amazon, but unfortunately, if you work there for too long, you might start to hate your life a little bit. Next up, Starbucks coffee. I was obsessed with all these basic
I
white
know.
girl logos. I need your, what do you think about, break down this logo, Seth? What is good? What is bad about this logo?
I think it's pretty good. It's like they used the main element of like the really classic one and kind of brought out the Starbucks typeface to make it really bold. So you kind of figure out it's more of a coffee place. Because I think this brand, when it started out in Seattle, it was pretty small. And then I don't think they used like as big of bolding like the letters on there. And so now they're kind of denoting that. I like the color. And they use it a lot, like pretty well in their branding. I know like throughout their cups, and like they use those little like sticks, and they're like the same green. So I think that looks pretty good. Like overall, they keep the brand consistency well. Again, I'm not a huge coffee person, so I don't have a bunch of like deep ties rooted to this.
Yeah.
So
and we'll get more into ones that you have as well. I think that'll be more interesting.
next one, GameCube. So yeah, I remember growing up on GameCube. And like the animation they would do every time you get in and did the little like thing. Yeah. And then like the fun thing was like if you held like the two triggers and like the Z button, it like did the same thing but in like a different tone.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
it was like
remember
the little
that.
squeaky one. And then if you had all four controllers plugged into the console and everybody did it at the same time, it did like a really low tone one.
Really?
Yeah, and it was like a kind of little Easter egg that like first time I'd seen like a console like load screen like have an Easter egg kind of thing into it.
Dude.
And it was pretty cool.
I gotta ask you though, what was your favorite game on the GameCube?
It's definitely Super Smash Bros. Like, I played that all.
man.
I played that all the time. Like growing up, a lot of my friends played it, so we'd always like go over to everybody else's house and like play as much as we were able to.
Man,
Mario Kart was pretty solid.
the Double Dash,
Yeah,
Mario Kart Double Dash
Yep,
on the GameCube.
That was really fun. And then I like
love that
stumbled around like. I stumbled across like this Harry Potter Quidditch game.
Really?
It was actually pretty fun, but it got really repetitive over a certain
Yeah.
time. But like you'd play like the House Cup, and then if you win that, you go into like international teams. So it was like kind of the first time you saw like international Quidditch teams like in the like Harry Potter like realm area. And so that's why I liked it. And like each team had like their special move, and like you could basically just play
there's
around.
so many good games on the GameCube, and I feel like everybody kind of has their own, but I have so many memories from that.
Yeah.
My older brothers would always play Super Mario Sunshine.
Yeah, I remember that one
Yeah, and then we would play like as a group. We'd always play Super Mario Party.
too. Okay, yeah, I remember that game.
Yeah, and then so obviously then there's Double Dash.
Yeah,
I
and then-
went back with one of my best friends. We would play. Is it Firefox?
Yeah,
not-
Firefox.
Firefox.
Yeah, I think
or-
that's what it
Is that what
is.
it's called?
I don't know if that's what the name of the game is called, but that's definitely one of the characters.
Yeah, because there's
I think it's
Firefox.
I think
is
it's
the
Star
game.
Fox.
Star Fox. Yeah, Firefox is a web
We were
browser.
close. Yeah, it's like
Star Fox.
and then Falco's in that game.
Yeah, so I always remember playing that and just random like Need for Speed or like
And
some
then
Tony Hawk skating game.
Monkey Ball. Do you remember?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Monkey Ball was awesome.
I totally forgot about
I
that.
remember playing that one a lot. Because that game also had like a party mode kind of like built into it as well. So if
Yeah.
you had your friends over, you could play like a lot of like
That's freaking awesome.
player games that were a little bit different than just the racing. But
So
yeah.
Seth, let's talk about this logo.
yeah, so this logo is actually pretty smart in my opinion. So you have like the shading on the siding and stuff to make it look like it's a cube, give it a little bit of depth in 3D when it's actually not. And then if you look at the main like material, it makes a G. And then in the negative space on the inside, you get a C out of it. So
Yeah.
you get GameCube. So
I see that.
so this like was something I noticed when I was like a little bit like in my middle school age years, like looking at, but I noticed it all the time and didn't like pick it up until like a couple years after playing it.
See, for me, I've always viewed this logo as an actual cube, but then when you point that out, you start to look at it as it's flat.
As it's 2D. Yeah.
And it just totally changes it. Like, that's such a different logo.
Yeah, and that's like a lot of cool things that like some logos that have like hidden space and good use of negative space can like make it have a totally different look and meaning.
That's crazy. All right, I'm going to bring up another logo here for you.
The Apple logo.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, definitely one of the like super most iconic logos you'll see. I don't think anybody hasn't seen an Apple product
Everybody
or
knows.
doesn't own at least an Apple product. If you're a Samsung user, like applaud to you that you don't have anything Apple. But I'm sure that you
well,
I'm sure that
screw
you
those users.
But I'm
Screw
sure
those
you've got
people,
like
right?
something at least in your house or something Apple.
If you use a Samsung phone and you're texting with green bubbles, we know who we're talking about
Yeah.
here. Yeah, I'll send this clip to another intern that we work with who
No shade.
yeah, Caleb Rodriguez. Boom, I said it. Yeah.
Oh, the name
All
drop.
right. Yeah, I'll drop your name. Get an Apple. Come on, man. Catch up with the times.
Yeah.
He's an Iowa fan. He dogs on IU.
Both of his teams got knocked out of the tourneys in
Yeah.
some sad fashion.
Too bad he's not here to defend himself, but
That is
he
true.
doesn't like
Yeah.
to be on the mic.
We'll give him a chance.
Gave
when
him
we
the
see him at the office.
opportunity. Yeah, he's gonna see this for sure.
Yeah. All right,
Okay, so yes, Apple logo.
Yeah,
here.
moving into the logo, it's pretty simple, very like iconic, like I said. Basically, like the backstory on it that I think is pretty neat is like it's supposed to be like the forbidden fruit that like Adam and Eve like ate from.
Yeah.
So it has a bite taken out of it.
And
so it's supposed to be like from the tree of knowledge. So it's like that's like the whole encompassing idea of like the company is like they're doing these computers and everything like high tech and stuff like that and trying to be like a huge tech company. And so I think the funny thing is like they say it's like it's not a bite taken out of it, it's a bite. Like BYTE.
Yeah.
Like
okay.
a computer bite.
Wow.
So that's kind of like a cool like play on it. But yeah.
That's interesting, but I also like I feel like that's kind of a little bit messed up in a way if you think about it. Because like to me, that bite out of the apple like represents sin. Like of all mankind.
I can see that play on it.
And it's like every single person, almost every like most people have this logo with them in their pocket everywhere they go. And it's like it literally, quite frankly, represents
I can see
sin.
where you're coming for that. But then I guess in Steve Jobs' mind, like I feel like he could come out and say like it's because they're like you have to take risk to like move on and like become that big type of company that they're wanting to be. And so like I think that might be a play that they were trying to do on that, but who do I know? I didn't design it.
Well, great take on it.
Yeah.
Great breakdown of it. Seems really simple. But this is an interesting one.
Yeah, so probably a super outdated logo. I doubt that like a ton of people even know what Baskin Robbins is, but if you don't know, it's a ice cream place. But obviously if you're looking at the logo, it's a BR for Baskin Robbins, and then there's a 31 like hidden into it with the pink, and it's kind of obvious like the more you see it and the more you know it. But that's like to denote like their 31 flavors that they sell.
Baskin Robbins.
Yeah.
31 flavors of ice cream. Wow.
Yep.
That's a good hidden technique there. Oh, man.
Oh, the Wendy's logo.
Seth, I got to ask you about Wendy's. Come on. The juicy, sweet, hot redhead named Wendy. All right. What's the deal with this logo?
I mean,
what's going on?
I'm not the
here?
biggest fan of it, but I gotta say, like the dude who owned the company or whatever, it's supposed to be like his daughter or something.
Is it really?
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure the dude who owned the company named it after his daughter, Wendy. And then I think there's like some fan theories about like the collar. The collar that she has on is supposed to like spell out mom.
Oh, yeah.
And it's supposed to be like
I've seen that
it's
before.
like
too.
people say that it's a stretch for me, but it's supposed to be like Wendy's supposed to be like cooking from your mom, which doesn't make sense to me because like
a Baconator.
Yeah, I don't think my mom's ever made me a
bacon.
Baconator like covered in grease, but I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, like the word mark itself, I think is fine, but it's like I don't like.
Just
I don't like it
imagine
too
this
often.
guy though. He makes this burger joint, and he's like, "What am I gonna call this?"
Mm-hmm.
And he's just like, "Oh, I'm gonna name it after my daughter." Like, what? Who does that? Like, when you start some kind of company or business, like, just name it after your daughter.
Yeah, it's
All right,
interesting.
you know?
I can't remember if there was like something where she passed when she was young, and he wanted to like do that. I would need to do my research again on this logo.
Okay.
It's been a while since I've like really known the story about it, but I'm pretty sure that it was about his daughter.
Yeah. So next up,
Microsoft.
yeah.
Yeah, so this one's pretty simple in how like the name is like, so it's micro software.
Yeah.
So it's just like they started off building like small chips and computers and stuff like that. And then, I mean, the Windows logo is just like so boring. I like the old Windows like logo, like the curvy one with like the little like stuff like the trail following it.
Yeah.
Obviously, like some of the retro logos I like a lot more than some of these like super refined and like simplistic modern logos. But that's just kind of how like the industry's kind of going now. Everything's like either some companies are going back to retro stuff and like it's just like they're tweaking it, making it a little bit more flat, or they're just going super simplistic and like the modern approach.
Yeah.
And
you don't know bliss until you've seen that background of the green hill.
Oh yeah,
and the blue sky on Microsoft.
Like, I wish I could have gone to like see that place in person and just like have that little like chime coming in like on repeat.
I'm pretty sure that. Oh yeah, the login sound.
You've seen like the 10-hour version where just like repeats like, the whole time.
Oh my gosh! And then the little log out button, like yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Crazy memories. All right, so we're gonna get really personal with this one.
You're gonna put me on the spot with this.
Yeah, we're gonna put you on the spot with the Indiana Sports Corp logo, and I want you to break this down. I really want you to, like, honestly say what you think about it. I mean, is it a good logo?
I mean,
Is it?
I like it. It's definitely a step
clean?
up from like some of the previous ones that the company has had. I know we have those like in our office, so I've seen them like the first day we came in. It was pretty cool to see that history of it. Obviously, we were founded in 1979, and it says our name, Indiana Sports Corp. I think it's a good overall design. I really like the color changes that we had, like the navy, that like tealish blue, and then that like it's kind of a pinkish red, but it like we use it as like a small little accent. So I think the color scheme that we switched over to is really good. I like the shield part of it, like. Kind of looks like a crest, but not like super detailed about it.
Right.
And it portrays the message and like puts the brand out.
And I'm assuming the star is like Indianapolis.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like the town or the city of Indianapolis, you know, has really grown with sports, and so that's probably a big part.
Yeah, and then I mean, like if you look at it a little bit more, like the swooping down of the like crest at the top like kind of does like a half semicircle, so you get a little bit of that Circle City feel from me. I don't know if that was intentional, but that's what I kind of look at it a little bit as. And then I think
rating out of 10
I'll give it an 8.
Give it a solid
There's
8.
definitely room for improvement for like a lot of logos and stuff like that, but I think this one's a really good upgrade and a good solid like standard stuff that we could use.
So
over like the company branding and everything. And then like a shield logo is pretty like synonymous with like sports teams, especially with like soccer and stuff like that. So I think it plays a good role in the sports realm.
All right, next up we have FedEx.
So this is like one of the most common like hidden meaning messages like or whatever behind these logos. And like if you look at the EX on the side, there's like an arrow
in between
the E and the X. And so it's like Federal Express, they're shipping like one place to another. It's pretty obvious. I think it's pretty smart. Colors are good. It's like a deep purple. Kind of looks like a blue, so on my screen. But I'm pretty sure it's purple and orange.
Yeah.
And
I think so.
I think the colors work really well together. They pop pretty well off white. Yeah. I don't have any complaints or anything on this one.
This one's interesting. You brought this up to me.
Yeah, Adidas. Right. So I'm more of a fan of their old logo, like the leaf, like the three leaf, like the trifoil one, like the originals logo, like it's Adidas Originals. They still use it for a lot of stuff, and then they kind of switched this one into it with the three stripes. So the new version of it's supposed to be like a mountain, so they're like overcoming challenges and stuff like that. Gotcha. So it's kind of like rising to the top sort of mentality. And then the word Adidas is a like combination of the founder's name, Adi Dassler. And so it's Adi, and then Das is like first part of his last name. So that kind of got combined into it. And he was like a German like shoemaker who turned this brand into like a sports company. And then
interesting.
Yeah.
Do we know anything about the history of this guy at all? Like, is he like was he a good guy? Was he like I mean, he was a German. I don't know. Around that time, I didn't know if
I don't think
anything to do with like
he's
Nazi Germany
or
not.
Think so. I mean, I think he's just like a general shoe guy, and then just ended up making a company.
Because believe it or not, I have actually heard controversy behind the brand. I've just heard people say like, oh, well, you know, I mean, they kind of relate it like that guy to Nazi Germany. And I've heard about it. I haven't done any research on it either. So I don't know. I could be completely wrong.
That's something that I would have to look into a little bit more. It's definitely around like that type of era. And then I'm pretty sure like Adidas was sponsoring like all of the German national teams for still are now. But like back then I'm sure that they were probably pretty exclusive. So I don't know. I'd have to look into that. And then I know that his younger brother, I can't think of the name, but his younger brother like was the owner of Puma or the founder of Puma.
Okay.
So like they kind of kept it in the family. It's like they both opened some doors into the sports goods stores and stuff like that.
Interesting. So, you know, Seth, we're going to get personal again. And, you know, you got this fine logo here.
Oh yeah,
the Crack It Cold logo.
I remember you talking about this for a little bit. And
I need you to break this down for us and really explain, you know, what's good about our logo, what's bad about our logo. Yeah,
we're getting
my sister made this logo.
I know that makes it a little harder to bash,
so that's
bash
you're gonna
on
be
your own
you
podcast.
know, but I want you to be completely honest. And you know, let's talk about it.
Yeah. So I mean, it's pretty straightforward on what you're looking at, though. So it's a beverage, nice cold beverage being cracked open, makes pretty good sense. Crack it cold. The only like thing I have against it, it's not really design wise. It's just more of like small like things in between like the lines, like these.
Yeah.
I think we talked about established. Like I rarely see established with a D. Usually I'd see it with like a period, and then. I think it just needs to be podcast, not like a podcast.
Right.
But I think that's the only like small things. And then like the established and like the 2021 like aren't extremely centered in between like the lines.
Yeah.
No, the 2021 shifted off to the right and like outside of it.
Yeah.
And a little bit off. So I think it's just some spacing and some small little tweaks here and there.
It's funny because my sister, she does stuff like this, and she told me, she said, you know, I'll throw this together for you. I mean, basically that's essentially what she did. She threw it together, and she really didn't put a whole lot of thought into it.
Yeah.
And she said that, you know, the longer that I actually go with this podcast, she said she'd sit down and we could actually like spend more quality time on like the branding and focus on it.
No, for
so
sure.
it's funny because
the logo process takes a little while. You can definitely like throw some quick stuff out and then end up being really, really good, or you're just throwing stuff on the wall and it's not sticking. So
right. I think overall, like the Crack It is kind of like, you know, it's got that like crackles in it kind of, and then the cold is like the old fashioned. And I think the ESTD, is that an old fashioned thing?
I don't know. Like, so that's the thing. I'd like, if I'm just not seeing a lot of stuff with established on, but I'm just so used to seeing it with like a period instead of the D, so it's not common for me. It could be right. Like, I don't think it's like potato kind of thing. It's like you can do either or, but just out of preference, I usually see it with a period.
Should probably have this conversation with my sister. I could I'll throw that on the.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's like like straight up answer that like say like this is wrong or not, but
Yeah. So Seth, really, what I want to get into next is a couple of things. So we have the NFL logo,
yep.
and I want you to talk a little bit about it, and then I want you to talk about other NFL logos.
Okay. Sounds good. I think we can get into some like you're talking about like
stuff.
some good stuff on
Yeah,
here. There's some bad logos. There's some pretty good ones, and I've got some fan
What's
favorites.
your favorite logo in the NFL?
So that's tough.
And I didn't send him I did not tell Seth that I was going to ask him these questions. So he's on the spot.
That's pretty tough. I mean, we might need to circle back on that one. I definitely have some least favorites over some favorites.
What are those? Let's talk about
one of my least favorites is like the new Washington Commanders, like W. I'm not a fan of that.
Is it just the W?
Yeah, I don't like the W. I don't know if they've updated it recently, but I'm not
Commanders.
I'm not a huge fan of like that rebrand on the logos. And then I just think the Browns logo is dumb. Like it's just a football helmet. Like they could have done so much better. Like I like their old their old like retro logo's like weird too. It's like this little like leprechaun looking dude, but I feel like they could like I think their secondary logo, their like mascot's like a bulldog or something. I think they could just run off something like that and it'd be so much better. But
yeah, I think that would be cooler too. Like, the Browns, the dogs, the dog house, all that stuff, and it's just a football helmet. But I mean, that's also true. Like they've been consistent. They haven't really changed it, you know. And I think when you look at the Indianapolis Colts, they haven't changed that thing.
Yeah. And I like their retro logo too. Like when they were in Baltimore, like that it's like a horse like bucking a dude off with the helmet kind of strapped on. Like that one was pretty cool. But then they've always used that horseshoe, and it's been pretty solid and stayed like pretty much the same all through it. And
their colors, they've never changed that color scheme.
Yep,
It's
I like
always been the royal
and the white. It's the same as what like in high school was. Great color combo. You can do the all whites with a little touch of blue on it. It looks nice.
Do you have any reservations on NBA logos at all? Favorites, least favorites?
I mean, the NBA logo itself, I think it's pretty straightforward. I think it plays pretty well. There's a lot of like other similar logos that have been done with like professional sports leagues, where they do the, like person inside of them with like red, blue, half. And then I don't know. In terms of teams, I wish like the Supersonics were still like the team that was like OKC got transitioned into the Thunder, and like they were the Supersonics before. So, like, looking at retro logos and stuff like that, I always thought they had some of the cooler ones.
Logos are cool. Logos are cool. Yeah. I am fascinated by, it's like wrapping up your company, your mission, everything that's behind that you stand for, and representing it in one image.
Exactly. And so, like, it takes a lot of process to, like, go through it, because when you're building out a logo, you got to understand like how is this going to look when it's really, really small on like an app icon, or like or if I've got it we need like a word mark or like just a font that's going to work really well on like the website or something like that. And how is it going to scale, and how's it going to look from far, small, big, like all that plays into it. And then it's got to like the colors are a big part of it as well, because like certain colors mean other things. Like red is completely different than something that's like black, where black would be more like classy. Red's like a little bit more powerful and impactful. So a lot of stuff goes into that, and if you want to make it more iconic and just very simple and like not really say anything on it, and then you can add like text and stuff with it. So there's a lot of ways you can go with it.
So Seth, I got a question for you. What's your dream job? My
dream job, obviously, like coming from an IU background and graduating from there, I would really love like working with their athletic department and like design wise, but that might be a little bit. I still got to figure out like if I'm going to do sports with my graphic design experience, or if I want to go towards music.
Okay.
Doing like visual effects and like promotional artwork and stuff for like music artists has been something I've been doing recently. I'm doing for like freelance projects, and I really enjoy it, but the freelance is kind of like taking a little bit of like a toll on me, and it's getting like a burnout. Yeah. I'm getting to a point where it's a little like burnout-ish. And so like having to find clients constantly is like that's little hard. Yeah. And so like it's finding a good balance between it. And if I'm working to get a career in sports, I'd be more than willing to do that. But on the music side, like working with somebody and going on tour with them, like doing their visuals and
That'd
stuff,
be
or like
so
going to
cool.
like festivals
Yeah.
all year, and like that'd be a lot of fun.
It's like
so.
an entrepreneur versus an entrepreneur.
Kind of, yeah.
An entrepreneur, you know, you're out there, you gotta find everything on your own, your clients. But if you know, internally, if you got somebody who's like, hey, you know, I need you to work for me, then it's secure, you know. And I think, man, talk about artists and all of the design that comes with it. I mean, gosh, MGK just dropped an album, and I was looking, you know, like on Apple Music, and it's like every time somebody drops an album, there's graphics that are like moved. There's even 3D graphics on Apple Music, you know, Spotify, all those things.
Yeah, and that was definitely something when that like came into being, and there was stuff like visually showing like on your Spotify and stuff like that. I was like, oh, that's like really cool,
because it's more
and
than
that's
just
something that they can really add to like build their brand and like promote the album art and stuff like that.
It's
too.
more than just an album cover now.
Yeah.
Like everywhere. Like, think about how digital this world is becoming.
Yeah.
There's a screen everywhere. Like, you look at pictures of arenas and old basketball gyms that have like these tiny little pixelated screens and like, oh, the Jumbotron.
Yeah, but it's
now,
like really nothing at this point.
You walk into Gainbridge and there's banners and there's a huge screen with inner walls and outer walls and screens up on the
It was a lot of fun. Like when I
and-
did get that project to like work on that documentary screening, is when I got to work with like building everything and all the specs out for those digital boards. It was actually really cool.
So you're filling a whole building. Seth worked on this with Connor at Indiana Sports Corp. Like, you're decorating this whole building because there's screens everywhere. You know, and
it was
Seth
a lot of fun.
of
It was a little stressful because it was like one of the first major like things that we were doing for the company at that time. So I was like sigh of relief when we got to go in like 2 days early and like prep everything and like see everything, and everything looked really well, except like for some reason like Adobe's software like was pushing out the images with like this tiny little white bar like on the top and left, and like it was like the most minuscule little thing that I was like freaking out about, but we ended up getting it fixed, and like it looked really good at the end product.
It's that stuff. Yeah, it's fascinating, and it, you know, man, like I'm just thinking of places too, like, you know, Times Square. TVs are just getting bigger and bigger and cheaper and thinner, and you know, you got Apple Watches, phones.
Oh yeah, you got a screen
laptops,
on me at like all times.
I
Like,
mean,
I find myself some days when I'm like working on something is like I'll have one laptop open running something 3D. I got another one on the side. I got a TV going.
Yeah.
And then I'm taking a break on my phone, and all of a sudden I know I've got like 4 or 5 screens in front of me. It's like
people are
too much.
they're starting to invest in these glasses, like these
the blue light stuff.
Because we are surrounded by all this stuff. And yeah, I mean, to me, I always wondered too, like, I mean, back in the day, like, it'd probably be hard for someone to even imagine a screen like the amount of screens that we have. And so my question is, like, what's next?
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Like,
obviously AI is kind of taking over, but in terms of like screens and stuff like that, like, I guess it's like maybe stuff that's more holographic and like not actually a physical screen. It's something that like we can touch in space with like, I guess like some type of like the like Google Glass, like that stuff. Like that was more of a prototype kind of thing that's super expensive and like hard to get your hands on. But like
when you're
eventually
seeing the VR goggles and the Oculus.
Yeah, the Oculus and stuff like that. And I've done those a couple times. Those are pretty fun, but like a little disorienting the first couple times you do it. So definitely like gonna take a couple years to like kind of figure all that stuff out and make it a little bit more like easy to buy and
reality.
Yeah,
could be living in the Matrix,
the metaverse.
Yeah, I mean, dang, what a time.
Yeah, well, I mean, like 3D stuff is getting so like advanced now too that like kids are making games like by themselves and not even with like a company like a big like gaming company, and kids are making games. They're making all these 3D environments and stuff like that. It's just like you can roam around in by yourself.
Yeah.
And I mean, like even games like Minecraft and like Roblox are similar to like, that's basically a 3D program, but as a video game. They're just building stuff fun. And
it's like you know, as a kid building Legos with your buddies. Now you can just hop on Minecraft, get on a server, and you virtually build. You got that. You got the NBA 2K League stuff going on.
I know, that was crazy. So
you're literally playing basketball in a video game, but you're with other people, and this is like a real thing.
Yeah,
like
I know.
virtual reality is.
Yeah, it's crazy how popular it's all gotten. And like, I didn't realize that a lot of these NBA teams and like NFL teams have like Madden teams and stuff, like sponsored teams, and they do a draft for it. And it's pretty interesting. It's like
athletes are getting paid.
Yep.
They're going to be hosting the tournaments in Indianapolis this year.
I'm pretty excited to see how that goes. Hopefully the Pacers Gaming can bring home a championship and keep it within the city.
Bring it home for the Circle City. And the fact that we're rooting for a virtual team. I mean, hey, the times are changing, folks. Times are changing. But that's great. That's a great conversation. I feel like there's a lot of pros and cons to what we have access to as well.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's like, obviously that saying, it's like, you got to take everything within moderation. It's like, when's the boundary being pushed too far, and when do we need to dial back? And I think it's going to be really interesting to see how it goes. Obviously, like, we've got that exponential curve of like how fast everything's going to go, and then it'll catch up to us at some point. And we don't know what to do with it.
That right there, what you said, is, to me, is huge. It's like social media is moving so much faster, or not just social media, but everything, technology, memes, whatever, culture is moving so quickly that the gap between generations is getting so much smaller.
Yeah.
So like you and I are in the same generation, but maybe somebody who's like 5 years younger than us, like totally.
Oh no, it's crazy.
Different. Because
and same with like sports too. Like general, like some of these kids that are coming up are like joining these club teams when they're super young and like hammering out all the bad habits they got, and then they're just like phenoms when they get to high school, college. But then.
Yeah. And like TikTok is a huge one, I think, because it's so trendy.
Yeah. And then people pick up on it so quick, because it's like Vine and like stuff like that. There was like it got kicked off, like, I can't remember, like 4 or 5 years ago. It got kicked off the App Store. And that was like the precursor to like TikTok. And like it was more of a comedy place. And then like TikTok kind of turned it into like just a challenge thing. And
everything.
Like, you're like
and it's so customized. It's probably the most customized, which can be kind of scary at times.
Yeah.
For the For You page.
Yeah. That's why like I don't really use it too often. Like I follow like a couple of my favorite gamers, like a bartending account, like keep some good drinks in the rotation. And then I think I follow like a couple graphic design people that do like quick little tutorial stuff, and then I'm not on it too often, but then I see these live videos that people are putting out, and then like everybody's like gifting all this stuff, and I'm like confused on like if it's like transitions into actual money, or like if it's just in TikTok currency, like within itself.
There's like, Crack It Cold is on TikTok, by the way, so give us a follow. But no, I feel that like there's so many features with it, you know, especially, and it's just TikTok, man. TikTok. But for me, like I was talking about earlier, how there's pros and cons to it, and sometimes I feel like some of it, well, not some of it, but 80% of it is just meaningless.
Yeah, no,
like,
it's just like
you could scroll on TikTok for hours and just learn nothing. I mean, it's just like it's draining.
Yeah,
it's just like you're just zoning out. And that's what scares me is when you see
they're just
kids
buying for your time, like on that app. There's more screen time, more money they're making, and ads and stuff.
Kids are just just zoned in on it. Like it's one thing if you're listening to a podcast or like reading something about that's gonna, I don't know, stimulate your brain in a
get
positive
you thinking
way.
a little bit instead of just like mindlessly keeping that scrolling. Because I remember like I think it was like that Social Dilemma was like that documentary that came out a little while ago on Netflix about like all the social media problems.
I haven't seen
and
it.
stuff like that.
That'd be interesting to watch.
So yeah, I would probably watch that. I don't know how like sided it is. It might be one-sided and skewed a little bit, but they kind of like went into how Instagram was made, and they were saying like we basically got people that like made like slot machines to come in to like keep your attention grabbed onto the app, and like the endless scroll was like something they put in, so like you just have endless amount of content.
That's actually,
and so like it makes sense like why it's working, like it's keeping people on the app for hours and hours just like scrolling.
I've never related Instagram to a slot machine.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Because the more you like that scroll, and then like on the explore page, there's all these different. It's like colors / different posts, so to speak.
And like they've like messed with all the like small little things, like how easy is it to swipe? Like the ease of it, it's like satisfying. The double tap, like the like of it is satisfying, and it gets you like into that like same like type of like satisfaction, like reward system that you get from like slots and stuff like that.
Holy cow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You should check out the video. They do a pretty deep dive into it.
So, what do you use Twitter a lot?
A little bit. Like I usually only use it to follow sports teams and like sports broadcasters and like and insiders and stuff, and like music artists, just to keep up to date on news. But I don't really like tweet at all. Like,
because I was curious. I know, obviously you're sticking with like just sports and the basics, and I respect that, because I think that's that's good use of your time. You're not on there just to mess around. But one thing that I think is another challenge with this generation is that these social media companies have a lot of power. They have a lot of power, and you start to see that they have the power to censor people on those accounts. Really, for like whatever reason, like if they wanted to censor someone, they could. And I think a great example of that is Donald Trump. I mean, he was the president of the United States, and they were able to censor him. And whether you agree or disagree with how that happened, the fact that Twitter has the power to do that, that's a big deal.
Yeah, they censor like the most powerful man like in the U.S. at that time, so that's pretty big. I mean, yeah, it's pretty scary. Like they definitely have a lot of access to like all the data and stuff. So like things are just going to slowly get refined, and like once they kind of pass everything in terms of like how open it's going to be and like how much freedom that they do have, like they're just going to have to start building in functions. So like, I don't want targeted ads. Like I don't want you to follow my data, and that stuff's like slowly starting to get into it now. And then like on certain things on Twitter, I feel like where like politicians or something like will post something, they have like a little warning. It's like, this may not be factual. Like that's something that's like small, but it's big, because like people are looking at it now with like a grain of salt. Like, like this might be false, like news or whatever. And I'm going to like check into it a little bit more. So, I mean, we're slowly getting into like a better like system, but it's far from it.
Yeah, and you bring up a great point, because all of it happens so fast that we don't have rules for anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Like frankly, like think about like, gosh, like when this country was founded and they write, the forefathers, they're writing the rules and everything. Like, do you think they had any idea what social media was?
Oh, no.
Now that social media is out, there's literally no laws, and instead you're scrolling through 500 pages of the I agree. What is that? The disclosure or whatever.
Like their agreement.
Their terms and agreements. And like you just, does anybody ever read that?
No, and
I
it's
sure
like,
don't.
and it's so funny because that like South Park episode where they touch on that, and it's like so true. It's like, who is ever going to read this thing? And then they just like take over and like do whatever they want with you.
That alone, to me, like if I was in court for something, and I should be like, well, that is so long. Like nobody should be really expected to read that much in detail. So you never know what's in there. And I know Snapchat was a big one that like essentially when you agree, you are like submitting all the photos that you've taken on Snapchat, and it's like in some database somewhere. And I mean, holy, you never know, like,
and then like there's
when
so many
they're gonna use that, when they could
think about like how many like these younger kids, like they've been given a phone, they have access to the app store. The app's free, so they don't have to input any of like parents' credit card information. Usually when something's free on the app store, it doesn't ask for like your password or anything. You can usually click through it. So like, let's say these like young kids are getting on Snapchat and just like, oh, another user agreement, not read a single thing, and they're unaware of it completely. And so it's just like hidden like small little things that are just gonna like screw people over. And
think about this. Like, we're all kids now. Like, I mean, we're getting older, but like, once our generation is like full blown adult, like running the country, like there's a president that's our age. Like, imagine what you could pull out. Like, if Snapchat has this database of stuff that this person did as a 15, 16-year-old kid.
Yeah, and like
holy cow, like that's a kid, you know.
Like the cancel culture today is just so like harsh, and like you get like stuff on Twitter. It's like, oh, this person did this 12 years ago. It's like, okay, how old were they when they actually did it? Like, were they in college? They were probably drinking at some party and did something stupid like everybody else. Yeah, and it's like, obviously, like if they do something like extremely racist or like completely abusive to somebody or something like that, obviously, like it's not great. But it's like, it's just how far back are people willing to go? And it's like, oh, like this dude did it when he was like 12 years old. It's like, how can you like get somebody on something like that?
Everything's so visible now, and just recordings and pictures.
And so like you have to be extremely mindful of what you're putting out. And then that's what's kind of off-putting to social media for me, is like I don't really post that much at all. And if I do, it's like I'm with family members or something, like an event wise. And it's like I'm not trying to like sit there and compare myself to everybody, like and a lot of it's just like that fake happiness, like, oh, look where I'm at, look what I'm doing, like put on a smile kind of thing. And it's just like I'm gonna post every single day, like at the same time, like, and get like I owe it to my followers type of thing. It's like, it's just like,
I know
your life becomes your social media platform because you think like you owe the fans like what they want to see. And
it's like, gosh, it just leads to anxiety, man.
Yeah, I know.
Like at the end of the day, like
it's like, oh, I didn't get enough likes on this, like people don't like me anymore. It's like not true. It's like, oh, like they just didn't see it on their stream or something, and they didn't like it for one of your posts or something. It's like not the end of the world.
So many ways to overthink, and it creates social like awkwardness too. It's just like when you see people in real life, it's not the same.
Yeah, exactly.
Never is the same.
Yeah, like they don't look the same. It's all filters and stuff like that, and
it's the highlights of their life, you know, the best parts. And then here's another interesting thing is like, my parents, I've probably seen a couple photos of them, wedding day, graduation, senior year, whatever. That's it. Our kids are going to see,
and like Christmases and stuff, and like
our kids
family holidays.
Our kids could go see like a whole Instagram feed of our entire life. Imagine logging into the Snapchat memories.
Oh, God.
Like just, you know, there's literally like, I would venture to say like I save a memory on Snapchat like very frequently. Like you could each month, like, you know, it's got a highlight of each month, even on a weekly basis. Like you can just go scroll through that and just replay your life. I mean, it's kind of weird.
No, it's different too, because like the accessibility to like have your camera in your phone and like having really good photos now, it's like you can grab a lot of good stuff, and then but then you have access to like the Snapchat and stuff like that. Is like you're saving those memories, and then it's kind of like unique where you can kind of put it into a story, so it's like it's kind of its own scrapbook in a way. And so like that's kind of an upside to it. But I mean, they also have access to that base, so like that's like you got to be mindful of like, should I take this picture or not? And it's like I don't want to be censoring myself like 24/7, but at the same time it's like you got to be really mindful of what you're putting out there.
And how big do you think that database is?
Like billions and billions of like, probably a number that we can't even like
because
imagine.
I'm thinking like you can't
how
even
many like data points there
you
are.
run out of storage on your phone when you're like holding photos, but yet on Snapchat it's just like, we can just post as many, keep as many saved as you want, and it's like you're not the only person doing that. Everybody is. Where is all this going?
Yeah, because you got to think about like millions of Snapchat users probably take one photo each a day, just at the low end. Like that's millions every single day. So it's probably a number we can't even think of.
It's scary to think about the people sitting behind the screen at Snapchat, you know, like
filtering it.
They're like, oh my God, what if they have like a file for every person?
Oh, probably.
Like, you know
what probably I mean? Is. Like it's like everybody's account.
Ooh,
it's like a tagged account.
Like, it's like, I wonder, you know, they get a call from somebody and they're like, hey, we need some info on
or like the
Seth
police.
Horty. They go boop, boop, boop. Just
we got him.
Got it all right there.
We got him. And then like with police stuff too, it's like, or like FBI come in, it's like, okay, we need access to this dude's account. And they'd be like, all right, here you go. Like, you got it. Like,
well, and that's
do they have to get warrants and stuff
that's
like to go into
that's
it? It's like
so
how
crazy.
accessible is it for, like, for anybody that's an elite type of person?
And that's going back to what I said about Twitter and the amount of power that they have. It's like, are they legally obligated to give up that information if the FBI walked in? Like, that just proves how much power the social companies are now going to have over the government.
Yeah, that's
and
probably in
stuff.
some other terms and agreements through their own.
Just
an extra
go
one.
right
Like, oh yeah, you want to read it? Read through like 1,000 pages of this, FBI, and then it's your job now.
That's insane. Well, Seth, I would say that was a great conversation. We really got into the social media.
We dug
there.
deep. We kind of went off topic of the logos, but it was definitely a good conversation.
That's exactly what we needed right there.
Mhm.
That's what Crack It Cold's all about, man. So
appreciate you having me. It was a good time.
Thanks for coming, man.
Awesome.
Take it easy.
Yeah, you too.
All right.